What's up, guys? Welcome to the Tristcast. Before we get into this week's episode, I invite you to follow the Tristcast and leave a rating. Peace. Hello, beautiful people, and welcome to the Tristcast. I am your host, Tristan Dario, and I invite you to sit back, relax, catch a vibe, and enjoy the show. How's it going, everyone? Welcome back. Before we get into this week's episode, I just want to say thank you all for your love and support. And if you have any suggestions whatsoever that you would like to hear on next week's episode, please leave a comment with that suggestion and maybe it'll be on next week's episode. All right, guys, peace out. I'll see you in today's episode. That today was Earth Day, and I had no idea. I guarantee you I probably looked at the calendar yesterday or the day before and probably saw that it was Earth Day today. But one of my new friends, or my newest friend that I actually just did a podcast episode with last Sunday, Sierra Reed, she was the one to actually tell me that today was Earth Day, and I woke up today feeling amazing. I felt so much positivity, and, I felt a lot of gratitude just waking up today. And, I think this is a perfect time, especially since it's going to be a beautiful Sunday when everybody listens to this, or, whenever you listen to this. But now, in the present moment, is a great time to pause and be grateful for all the amazing things that we have around us. And I would say even the things that have taught us our most recent lessons. We're not going to always have the answers for everything, and we're not always going to be feeling amazing as days go by. But one thing I can say for sure is this: we don't have to necessarily worry about, we can't control everything. And coming to terms with not being able to control the things happening around us and just being grateful for what's happening around us is a great way to change our perception on life and how we go about our days. I just got the incredible opportunity to see one of my good friends, Hunter Hoffman. He was on the episode Journey to the Present Moment. I'll also link that episode in the bio, so then you guys can go and check it out, because that was an incredible conversation with him, and just being able to see him yesterday and be able to catch up with him, since I haven't been in Florida in like 4 months. So I haven't been able to see him or a lot of my other friends that live in Florida, and being able to sit down and have a conversation with him and really, catch up and see where he's at and how he's doing. It's just great. It's great to see my friends upgrading themselves. It's great to see my friends putting themselves out there and experiencing life. He and I both have been through our fair share of, you know, teaching moments in the past year, I would say, and it's been one hell of a ride. I've been friends with Hunter for almost 10 years, and being able to talk to him and see how far he and I have grown since when we first met. We first met back in high school when I had just moved to Florida. I had literally just moved to Florida, and I had just started a brand new school. I've always seen stories about people being the new kid at a new school and it not always being easy, but him and one of my other dear friends, Zach Matzinger, they really took me in. They saw me, and it wasn't like anybody else who's just seeing me as just possibly some weird kid. I had my own issues, I had my own stuff, but we all really connected on who we were and the things we were into. And what was really funny, like lately I've been hit with so many memories and so many good times. And I read an incredible tweet not too long ago that was about, being present in the moments we have is really important, and, I really wanted to, in a way, relive some of my old memories, but remake it in my own way. So since Hunter was here yesterday, we went to the grocery store and I wanted to get some stuff to make dinner and then make breakfast. And I have always wanted to perfect my father's breakfast. When I was a kid, I would go and see my father every other weekend because my parents were divorced, and he would make us every Saturday and Sunday. He would make us this full blown breakfast. Sometimes it'd be pancakes and stuff like that, but my dad had this incredible way of just making normal food taste so gourmet. And, he used to make eggs perfectly. The bacon was perfect. And he used to get the bread, the toasted bread, so golden brown around the area where he would place a piece of butter. And it like something about that, man. I always wanted to recreate it myself. And I did that this morning. I have never made bacon so perfectly that I made it so good today, and I just felt so good. It was awesome. It was such a great way to start the day. And like, yesterday I did half of the workouts I had to do, and because Hunter was coming from St. Louis, I was like, I have a feeling I'm not going to be able to get the second half of this workout done today. So I was just like, you know what? Fuck it. So went ahead, had a couple glasses of wine, made chicken street tacos. They were amazing. I could have let a little bit less seasoning to the side, but that's why, everything is a learning moment. And now I know how I can make it better. But I found a recipe. I really wanted to do tacos. I was really, I wanted carne asada tacos probably would have been really good, but the chicken was fantastic. It was ground chicken. We were able to mix it up. It came out spectacular, and I have so much left over. I think I'm going to make quesadillas. Boy, that shit's going to be good. But I some things that are happening in my life right now that, I'm really proud of myself. In the next week or so, maybe in a week and 2 days or so, I will be 1 year clean from nicotine in whole. And I am so proud of myself because I was vaping for 4 years and I couldn't kick it. And then finally, a year ago, May 2nd, I was like, you know what? I want to quit. I got to quit. And I'm quitting. And I finally did it. And it was hard for the very beginning. I found ways to take my mind off of the addiction. My hardest part of getting off of that addiction was the cravings. I would just have, because I have an oral fixation, and just the idea of having a vape in my fingers, hitting it and stuff like that. And then when I got here, like several months down the line after that, when I got here, that was when I was like alone here in Missouri, and I was just like, I am getting cravings for some reason. And I was also smoking weed, and like I was smoking too much weed. So I was like, I gotta find something that can take whatever this is so then I can push off this craving of nicotine and then push off like how much I'm smoking, because like I try to be responsible. I know a lot of people who can smoke throughout the day, all day, and I love that for them because it works so well for them that way. But for me, I feel like if I smoke too much, I can get super like lazy, not lazy, but like just unmotivated. And I don't like that. I like the opportunity to use it as an advantage to help me. So like I was telling Hunter this morning after breakfast, I was like, the reason why I like certain strains is because certain strains can help me in the morning. So like if I take a sativa in the morning, like say I'm fresh, I get up and I have some breakfast and I have a glass of tea and say I do my prayer, my meditation, I'll work out. And then after my workout and shower, I'll start with like a couple hits of a sativa, and I'll get all of my work done, and I'll probably be like super productive, which I love. Like, I love that opportunity when using it, because it's more like, hey, I'm giving you this little dial turn and you're going to be able to produce a little bit more. I like that. Especially when, sativa makes me more creative. It definitely gets me in that excited, energetic, uplifted, like I am in the zone, and I really do enjoy that. And indica really helps me for when I'm mellowing, or if I'm trying to stay mellow throughout the day, because there's been a few strains I've had when buying, and I really like to find something that doesn't make me feel groggy. And what I did have while I've been out here, the bud I had was like making me super groggy, and if I wasn't doing it at the right time, it would make me overly like unmotivated. It would like spiral my brain out of control. And I used to like trip out about it, and I used to get mad at myself. There was the other night I smoked the last bit I had here, and I was playing Rainbow Six Siege with Emma from my most recent episode this past Wednesday. And I was like, dude, I can't. I was playing Siege. What's so funny is when we started Siege, I was golden. I was doing great. Like, I aced. I didn't ace, but I got a few kills in one round, and I felt really good about myself. And after like 2 or 3 more games, or like after one more game, so I completed that game and then I moved on to the second match. When I got to that second match, I decided right before we started that I wanted to take that final hit. And within that final hit, like, we are in the game, like, we're defending, and we're supposed to be locking up the room so the attackers can't come in. And I'm just circling. I'm just going in circles around the map. Like, I'm running from rooms, circling around, going back to the main room that I started in. And I go, Emma, I have no idea what the fuck to do right now. I was so, like, I was so elevated. But I was, like, in that moment, I appreciated it so much because, believe it or not, when I was using so often, I was really resenting myself because I was getting in a different like way that I just was like, oh dude, this just isn't good. Like, this just isn't what I want. And I started resenting it. And when I got to the point where when I barely had any left and I really wanted to, make it last a little bit, it made me appreciate those moments of how I was feeling, because like, as I was saying to some of my friends, I can feel like I can be semi serious with my day. Like, I need to be productive, or I feel like I should be productive, or I feel like I need to get something done to a certain extent. But that gives me that time to really look at it from, you know what? I can just flow. Why do I gotta worry about it? And it's good. It makes you step aside. And one of my favorite analogies is the fly on the wall perspective. Like, say like I'm a fly on the wall just watching this dude vibe out. Like, I'm just vibing. I'm vibing differently at a different level than how I usually am. Like, I'm super happy and giddy all the time, and I love that about myself. But I like to chill out and mellow out, and I don't drink often. I had 2 glasses of wine last night, and it actually, like, I had like 2 or 3, but I would say 2.5. 2.5. Let's go with that. And it burnt me out. Like, I got done with dinner, ate, I was done, cleaned everything up. I was so beat that I'm on this, where I'm sitting right now, I was laying down like this, and my head's just peeked back on this armrest, and I just snooze. Hunter and I were here. We were sitting with my uncle, and my uncle came out. He wanted to watch Pinocchio. And we're sitting here. Hunter's sitting here laid down. I could tell he was tired. Rossi was super happy. He was just enjoying his time. And I'm just sitting here, and I'm just like, all right, I'm going to sleep. I was already clocked out anyway, so I wasn't too worried about it. And usually the movie time is like that time where I can mellow out and chill out and go to sleep anyway. I knocked out, and I woke up at like 11:30 or a quarter to midnight, and I was telling Hunter, when I got upstairs and brushed my teeth and got into bed, I had the hardest time going to sleep. But if my ass is sitting on this chair and I lay back, I can knock out like it's nothing. I just found it so funny. And, I'm very grateful I got the time that I had with Hunter, and I'm grateful that, friends want to come out and see me, and it just feels really good. And it makes me appreciate that even more, because people love me enough and they want to do that. And that's awesome. And it makes me want to like just travel the world and go and see my friends when they're in different states, because nothing's going to stop me from wanting to see somewhere new. And if only you could see where I'm at and how pretty it is. Like, maybe when I'm editing, I can throw in like bop some sunsets. Like there was most recently, just recently, we've been getting a lot of hot days, like high 60s, mid 70s. And you going up towards the 80s kind of. And I have like 2 or 3 days of heat like that, and then a massive thunderstorm will just come on in. And the other day that happened. We had this crazy thunderstorm come in right before sunset, and it made the sky look gorgeous. I'll make sure to throw in some stuff, because I want to show you this sunset. It was so pretty. I really enjoyed it. But it was just, it's different. It's being here, as I talk about it so much, it's so different from Florida. And I was telling Hunter about it. When I first got out here, it was more dull because it was in the middle of winter, or on the end spot of winter. Everything was dead, covered in snow. It was gray more of the time than sunny. It was cold. So it didn't feel like alive. And I talk about this a lot to people that I come by and when I meet new people. Literally one of my favorite, what my favorite season is, my favorite season is spring. And the reason why that is because that is the time where everything that has died is now coming back to life. The grass is vibrant. The trees are blooming. It's like every day it blooms a little bit more, and you're like, dude, this bloomed overnight. What the hell happened? And it's just beautiful. And being able to I like to walk in the grass barefoot. Ever since I heard this saying, the parts of your foot are called the heel and the sole for reasons. When you walk on the earth barefoot, it heals your soul and it grounds you. And so I've been trying to do that as often as I can, take some time out of my day to go and walk in the grass and just be in nature. It's very important. Be embracing our surroundings and not just being stuck inside of a box. That does protect us from everything outdoors, for sure. But it's important to go outside, especially today. Today is Earth Day. We should be embracing Mother Earth and kissing her figuratively and doing everything we can to just give back to Mother Earth as she has given us. And just the other day when I started my morning with like 2 pieces of toast and an orange. And the orange I had ended up having a seed in it. So I'm like, guess what I'm doing? Take that seed, I go and bury it out in the yard. There's 2 trees out in the yard, and I wanted to put the seed more closer to one of the trees, so then the root system could find its way over to this orange seed, so then it could give it more nutrients and more strength to grow stronger. Which is really dope. I've never planted something like that, and I got to plant an orange seed that will eventually become an orange tree. How dope is that? So, just in like being outside as a whole has changed my perspective even more so because I used to be someone who just talks about love being in nature. I love being in nature, but because I was going through this, I don't know if it was imposter syndrome or what, but there was a time when I was living in Florida, when I was living in my apartment before I moved back in with my mom. And I always love being outside. I always love being outside. And I do love being outside. But I was always finding myself staying indoors more often. And I didn't like that. And if I was outside, it was on the patio of my apartment smoking a J or smoking the bong. And that became so unhealthy. And I'm so grateful that I'm not that person anymore because now I want to find every reason. Obviously, I will take a J with me everywhere I go because if I want to lay out, sunbathe in the sun or under a tree and do some writing or possibly start reading a book, I have my J with me and I'm chilling. I'm grooving, baby. I have my iPad everywhere I go and I just open that baby up, sitting right next to me, and I just play some music, dude, and it's a jam. Like, it's just something about being in nature, being under the sun, listening to some groovy ass music and vibing. Like, it changed. Like, I want to be outside more often than I want to be inside now. And I used to do that when I was a kid, and now I have that fire back in me when it comes to nature, and I love that. And like I try to I try to invite people to be outside more often because it's very comforting. I don't know if it's just me, but like it's very comforting for me because it's like feeling the warmth of the sun just beaming down on my face. And just the idea of not having to worry about doing anything at all, just laying back and being just as we're supposed to do. It feels relaxing. And Emma, I have to say, one of the last conversations Emma and I had, she said, when I think about where you're going to be in the future, I can only see you either on a beach or ah I forget. It's either a beach or in a city. That's it. And I think about all the places that I could go that is a beach and has a city, and I'm just like, boop doo doo. Go over to wherever I want to go. It's very nice. Lately, it's just been a breeze, like a breath of fresh air. Not as in everything's been a breeze, but it just feels like there's been a constant flow of wind just cruising through me, just telling me, hey man, you're all good. Just vibe. You don't gotta worry about anything. And it just feels good. Like, I was talking to Hunter yesterday, man, and I was just saying, we gotta do that. We gotta do everything that it is that we want. We don't gotta worry about anything that doesn't feel shitty, bro. If something feels like shit, we walk away from it. Yeah, it can be hard, and that can be easier said than done. But when you really think about it, man, if you really allow bullshit to come into your life and really affect how you're living, you're doing yourself a disservice. You just are. You gotta be able to put yourself first. Always. Even, it's important to put others before you, but when it comes to protecting your peace, it is always important putting yourself first in that matter. Because you should never let anyone come into your life and disrespect your peace or disrespect you or make you feel less than who you actually are. And it's important to be able to embrace that as hard as it can be, as a person who has to make a hard decision when it comes to things like that. It can be stressful, it can be difficult. But at the same time, it's another way of learning. It is another way of getting out and embracing the change and embracing the opportunity to upgrade. And that's what I've been on lately. I saw a great quote that said, you can either continue to play video games or you can treat your life like the video game. Do you want to upgrade a fake animated character or do you want to upgrade yourself? Even if that means you got to do things that take you out of your comfort zone. That's important. That's what we have to do. We can be so afraid of change and so afraid of embracing something new that we forget how wonderful that is. Obviously, we have to be, we have to make sure we're intentional with where we're putting our energy, and we have to make sure that we are aware of what we're doing. We don't want to do anything negative or negatively impact anybody. We want to positively impact as many people as we can. Now, we can't do it for everybody, and we're not always going to do right by everybody, but it will always be in our best, it'll always be our goal to have the best intentions for people. And that's how you can really, decide what positive things come in your life. I read an incredible excerpt that's from Imprint that is connected with a real life book. And, it's really, oh, shit, it just left my mind. But if it comes back, we'll talk about it. But it's really important that one thing I want to bring up, an incredible conversation we had yesterday was we need to tear apart the moral code that we were raised up on and embrace our own geoncology of morale. And what that means is we have to go internal and we have to figure out our specific values and principles that we live by. And when we have those, we can direct ourselves and we can place ourselves where we want to go and allow other people who embrace and agree or share the same principles and values. And that's how you collect your circle. But now I just remember what I wanted to say. As long as we are putting in positive energy and expressing and sharing love and kindness everywhere we go, we cannot control consequences after we have committed actions, but we can make sure that we are always striving to be positive and uplifting people so that we only attract positive consequences. Not always will that always work, because I think things will have to happen as God in the universe maneuvers everything into its cycles and how we have to move along. There will always be an occasion that comes in where we get struck in some way or we do something that's not the best way. But if we strive to be as loving and kind as possible, and if we start with embracing love within ourselves and not only let it burn from internally, but then allow it to expand externally, we can only invite and attract powerful, positive experiences, people, and, as hard as it can be, because the ego is still a thing, and I've been really connecting with this. I've been reading a lot about the ego and soul and how different they are. Our ego not only wants to protect us or wants what it wants and wants to attach, and then we got dopamine that's trying to get more, get more, get more. We got all this happening, and that takes us away from our soul. And I've talked about this before. Our tripod, we have the mind, the body, the soul. And I was talking to Hunter about this yesterday. If we're not feeding the soul, that is a piece of us that is knocked down. It's like this tripod that's sitting right here in front of me. If that soul leg just gave out, my entire phone would fall and everything would fall apart. We can't just be in our mind and be in our body all the time. We have to go within. And I think people have a hard time doing that. I think people are either grown up in certain ways through their family that they're impacted in different ways when it comes to beliefs and religions or faith. And then there are some people who decide that they want to expand on that. They want to embrace it even more. For me, for example, I started out as a Southern Baptist Christian. What's up, guys? Wanted to take a quick moment and invite you to leave a comment on today's episode. Tell me something about yourself or tell me something about today's episode that you enjoyed. Peace. And then I would say I moved more. I think I just increased in that. But over time, I moved into spirituality, and now I more so am intrigued by Hindu and Buddhism, and going from there's two different ways. I had an incredible conversation with Colton Jakewith on spirituality, religion, and it's actually called Spirituality, Religion, and Going Home. I will link that episode as well. This was an incredible conversation because I've read about it before. When it comes to spirituality and religion, with Christianity, for example, we go from the bottom up. We are here on earth and we're connecting to the top. And then for spirituality, it starts from the top and it comes down. And then if I am confused, please leave a comment so then I can be better educated so I don't forget next time. But this is what I'm going off of because this is what makes sense to me. Going from that top and down and connecting with God and the universe internally within me, it made me look at religion and spirituality so differently. We are a piece of God. God created us, created the human race off to the side as a whole, and allowed us the opportunity to experience everything that life has to offer. And that ranges from happiness all the way to pure fucking hatred. And there's so many people, including myself, well, I don't like expressing hatred. I don't like expressing anger, but it is a piece of me. And there are moments where I have to let it out in a healthy way because you can't allow emotions to bottle up. It just doesn't work. Only makes things worse. And so thinking about these things, talking about them, seeing my growth from when I first got out here compared to where I was 6 months ago, my faith, my belief, my gratitude, I am so grateful. And I want to continue practicing my gratitude because it's so important. That is how we embrace other positive and abundant possibilities to enter our life. One of my favorite mantras right now that I have it written on a post-it note in my bathroom, and it says, I embrace all the positive experiences and people in my life. My life is extraordinary. There we go. I only have to say that and then it gets it. But it's something along the lines of that. I accept all the positive experiences and people into my life. My life is extraordinary. And, I love that because I only want to spread love, spread kindness, and spread the importance of connecting with the higher power. Being like recognizing that the divine is here and giving us not here, but in its own realm. And it gives us the opportunity to learn how we can just flow with the universe, not stress about what we want. Just know that it's all coming into play. Noticing the synchronicities, and understanding that nothing happens coincidentally. Everything happens for a reason. You don't just wake up and then you just see something that you were thinking about yesterday. Oh, why is that there? It's because it's a sign. You put it out there into the universe. You've connected with it already to one part of it. And now the universe is trying to show you that you are capable of achieving it. There might be things that come in that are going to affect your journey there. You may plan for something specific to happen at the time that you want it to happen, and it may not. but you still want it and you're still willing to go for it, even if it doesn't happen at the way that you want it to or at the time you want it to. That's why patience is very important. Do you want it to happen so fast when you're not possibly ready? Or do you want a little bit more time to get yourself ready so then you're actually capable of putting in all the effort that you need to being successful and succeeding at it? It's just a different way of looking at it. And another thing I was telling Hunter yesterday, I figured out while I've been out here, one of my main purposes of being here on this planet is to um provoke a different perspective on life and things happening in the world. It's going to piss you off. It's going to get you confused. It's going to get you wondering what the fuck I even mean. But if you take in what I say and you really pay attention to the perception I'm trying to give you, it could ultimately lead you on a different passage. It could lead you somewhere new that you would have never expected. Maybe you'd be happier than you've ever been if you just think about it a little differently and open yourself a little bit more. That's why I love being an open-minded person. Hunter gave me an incredible analogy, or philosophy, if you will. It is the hedgehog and the fox. Most people are the hedgehog, where they look at life in one specific way, and it never changes for their entire life. And then there's the fox, who adapts their approach to life and what happens, and they allow the scenarios of life, and as life goes on, their perspective changes. I'm a fox. I started out, a lot of people who know me and they're close with me, they knew they knew how I grew up, and they know what kind of person I am leading into and how I've grown, and I really do love who I am now. And there was a time where I did not truly love myself. There was a time where I didn't even know what it truly meant to love myself. And it's very important. And I can't, and I'm going to be honest, I can't tell someone how they can love themselves. They have to do it themselves. It takes going internally. It takes being within yourself. And that is the uncomfortable part. You don't want to be alone with yourself, and you don't want to have quality time with yourself if that's how you are. Because you may have a hard time dealing with your thoughts. You may have a hard time being alone, and I get that. As a person who likes being, the life of the party, as a person who likes to go out, get energetic, and be around a lot of people, solitude really changed me. Now it makes me really appreciate the alone time I have with myself, even if that means I'm watching TV all day or playing video games by myself. I'll give myself that time because I need it. And I can get overwhelmed, and that's okay. And I don't have to worry about what people think. If people think that I get overwhelmed by a little bit of work or not enough work, that's their own perspective on what they believe is the correct. And that's their own projection. I don't need to work at a certain level as you need to, and I don't need to project my own sort of extent of work onto another person. And I've talked about this in a recent episode. There was a episode recently, I believe it was possibly episode 27, where I'm talking about how my, coworkers in the past wouldn't work at the level that I was working, and that would make me, get pissed off because I would take it personally. And at the end of the day, it's not even my place to put that kind of energy on someone. If they want to put in the effort they want to put in, then that's what they have to put in. It all matters on what the boss thinks. And if the boss isn't happy with their work, obviously we know what's going to happen. But me, myself, I know I'm not perfect, and I know I don't put in all the effort I need to all the time. But I always try my best, no matter what. Without the shadow of a doubt, I'll always try my best. And I won't do any less than that. It's windy as shit outside this Earth Day, and I kind of want to do that. I really kind of want to just sit outside. And I think that's what I'm going to do today. I think I'm just going to bask in the peace and serenity of the sun and just embrace the joy that I have within my heart and give back to the world outside. if that makes sense. But I know the right people, and everybody who listens to this are going to understand what I mean. But I hope you guys have a wonderful week. I appreciate you, and I'm grateful that you joined me here today. And I'm excited to put out my very first video episode. I have been seeing a lot of people just sit on their couch and do it, and I think that's so cool. I think it's awesome. So I stole like an artist, and I'm embracing the idea. And I want you guys to tell me what you think, genuinely, okay? Let me know what you thought. Let me know if you want to see more of my beautiful face. I love you all. I hope you all have a wonderful morning, a wonderful afternoon, a wonderful evening, and a wonderful night. Peace.